Retro video games have seemed to skyrocket in price due to those wanting to relive their childhood in hopes of gathering a collection they once weren't able to achieve. Prices for the classics have been seen as high up in the millions at auctions and have made record-breaking news. Of course, these prices might not be as true as they seem, and the public is speculative about inflated prices, but there truly are people out there that will spend this much on a video game. But what about the more recent consoles such as the 3DS? With the news of the eShop closing in 2023, prices for 3DS games will most likely only be seen going up. Here's a list of the top 5 rarest and most expensive 3DS games as of 2022.
Number 5. Yokai Watch 3.
Yokai Watch 3 is the third installment in the Yokai Watch series in which you are the main protagonist Nate, a boy that befriends yokai in order to battle and solve problems going on within the story. The game plays like a JRPG with this 3x3 grid system and is usually compared to the likes of Pokemon. Since its North American release date on February 8, 2019, many yokai fans struggled to find a retailer that had the game in stock. Many began to speculate that due to a lack of sales from the public, that many retailers were only sent a handful of copies. The price of this game sealed recently shows sold comps on average of about $200 and seems to be rising monthly, so if you're a collector, you should probably try to snag this one soon.
Number 4. Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure.
Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure tells the story of the protagonist Raphael, who doubles as a fugitive art thief that always ends up returning everything. Raphael is then tasked to save a young violinist he meets from an undead emperor in his hunt for the Dragon Crown, which leads to one of the wonders of the world, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Rhythm Thief is a rhythm-based action game in which the use of the 3DS's buttons, gyro control, and touchscreen are all incorporated into various musical challenges throughout the story. The game was released in North America on July 10, 2012, and honestly, I can't seem to find much true data as to how many copies were sold. If I'd have to take an educated guess, I'd probably say it's under 200,000, but that's just based off of what others on the internet say. The most recent sealed game sold comp shows that it's sold at $600, which is a huge jump from the open complete unboxing listings at around $150-ish. This game's listings honestly are all over the place, but I wouldn't doubt it may be doubling in the coming months.
Number 3. Alien Chaos 3D.
Alien Chaos 3D is a simple 2D shooter in which you play as Really Shooter. Yes, that's his name. A cleaner tasked to save his mama after aliens abducted her. The game is based on different stages where portals are opened up by aliens, and you, being the Metal Slug Rambo-esque character, has to stop the waves of chaotic aliens from getting past you. It's a very side-scroller type of game with a cleaning aspect added on top of waves of enemies coming after you. The game was released on September 25th, 2012, originally for the European eShop as a technical sequel to the Xbox Live arcade game Mama and Son Clean House. Because of its indie presence and late arrival to the US, the game didn't sell much, therefore becoming one of the more rarer 3DS titles for the US. As of right now though, the only recent comp I found for a brand new copy of the game can run you up to about $600. And I'm only saying $600 conservatively since the seller accepted an offer from a buyer, so it's a lot of money for an indie game.
Number 2. Guide Louvre.
And I hope I'm saying that right. If you've never heard of this game, it's probably because it's not really a game. Guide Louvre is actually a virtual tour that allows 3DS users to acquaint themselves through a tour of the famous Paris museum, Le Louvre. The tour is packed with tons of photographs of famous art, as well as the museum's corridor. And on top of that, there's over 30 hours of commentary to help be your guide at the Louvre. The game originally started as software back in April of 2012 that was made specifically for rentable 3DSs held at the Louvre, but would also be sold a year later as a physical copy in the gift shop, just in case, you wanted to visit the museum once again on your own time. The most recent sealed sold listings are pulling up at around $550 for the English version of the game, which is kind of the one sought after by collectors. A virtual museum guide for $500? Huh?
An honorable mention.
A quick honorable mention as well before we get to the rarest 3DS title happens to be the Fire Emblem Fates Special Edition. I feel kinda off adding special editions on the list, but this one has a good reasoning to it. The Fire Emblem Fates Special Edition came with a special all-in-one cartridge that included all the Fire Emblem Fates games, Birthright, Conquest, and Revelation. On top of that, the box also included a hardcover book, a 3DS carrying pouch, and some keychains if you were to pre-order the special edition. As of right now, sold comps for the special edition brand new are showing up closer to the $1,000 mark, but it does include some special edition stuff, right? So it's justifiable.
And number 1, Barbie's Groom and Glam Pups.
This game is literally the holy grail of all 3DS titles. Barbie's Groom and Glam Pups is a game all about getting to train, groom, dress, and show off your virtual pup in dog shows. It's literally like Nintendogs, except everything is barbified with how much fashion is involved with the game. It's one of the craziest games seen to be as expensive as it is, but there's a really interesting reason for it. The game originally came out for the Wii and DS back in November of 2012 and later became available to the 3DS in August of 2013. The only issue for collectors now though is that the North American game was only released in Canada, making it way harder to find these releases in the US. Recently, the Reddit user Galdias managed to complete his 3DS collection with the addition of this $1,600 Barbie game, and that was with the game opened. A sealed listing for the game doesn't even show up at the moment if searched for on eBay. This game is literally so rare that the cartridge alone is going for $500. This, paired with the $1,600 Galdias spent on his complete in-box copy, only means that a sealed copy has to run upwards of about $5,000. With the 3DS just hitting its 11th birthday and the news of the eShop closing, I suspect that very many 3DS titles are only going to be rising very quickly. The best part of these games is that they're not even considered to be the top rated 3DS games to play either. A lot of times, these games are just bought to sit on the shelf, and I have nothing against that because I technically do the same, but it's just something interesting to think about. Once again, these games' prices jump all over the place depending on if they're sealed, complete with manual, or just the cartridge alone, but this still doesn't stop them from being some of the rarest games for the system. And don't even get me started on graded games either.